Hey guys, I hope you're well. Today with me, I've got Usher from Cricket4Us 2.0. Please check out his channel if you haven't already. Some really good videos on there, and he's covering, especially at the moment, the IPL and some other bits and bobs as well, like Cricket Weekly Roundups as well. Some really good videos, so check it out if you haven't already. So today we want to go through the Pakistan squad selection for the Zimbabwe tour. There's been some surprising exclusions and inclusions to the squad, so we wanted to kind of look at that a little bit, give our initial reaction, and kind of delve a little bit into, I guess, some of the talking points and whether we agree with some of the selections as well, because I think there is quite a bit to discuss. First of all, Ashton, so in terms of it being at Zimbabwe, so they have included Abdullah Shafiq, who's young, uncapped 20-year-old. Obviously, we've discussed him a little bit because he's performed well in the National T20 Cup that's just finished. So here I've got a couple of stats. So 358 runs from 10 innings, a strike rate of 133, average of just under 45. So really impressive from him. Are you pleased that he's in there?
Yeah, he's probably the only one I'm excited about because he's actually the only new player being added into the squad. Everyone else was part of the squad when they came to England, which is surprising because there were a lot of standouts this season from the National T20 Cup. One thing I'm very excited about Abdullah Shafiq because the way he bats, he's a more aggressive version of Haider Ali and Babar Azam, the way that I saw it. So as not a replacement, but as someone batting at 4 or 5, we need some sort of big hitter or someone who can increase the pace of the innings, coming in at over number 13 or 14 in the 2020. He's that kind of guy. So I'm really glad that he's in the team.
Yeah, agreed. I think he's definitely one for the future, and hopefully he can get a bit more confidence from the Zimbabwe games and see how he goes from there. And I think, as we both point out quite a lot, hopefully he's treated well, let's say, and they look after him as a youngster. So 3 really big exclusions. Sarfraz, Shoaib Malik and Mohammad Amir. So first of all, I want to touch on Mohammad Amir. What do you think about that? So obviously he has stopped playing Test cricket, and he's basically stopped playing Test cricket because I think of the strain on his body, and he was being, I think, bowled quite a lot, and probably having that long layoff of 5 years probably made a big difference coming back, and then straight away being into. I think there was a good article that we read. That I think it was ESPN did. Well, someone from ESPN Pakistani did, which is really good. And he made the point that Mohammad Amir basically has just been bowled into the ground, basically, almost, and that hasn't helped. So obviously he's stopped playing Test cricket. He's focusing on white ball cricket, but now he's been dropped from this T20 side. Probably not ideal for him. Do you agree with the decision?
The answer is twofold, in my opinion. So the first point, yes, I agree with you that he was run into the ground, therefore he had to leave Test cricket. Agree with that point. In terms of his exclusion within this squad, I think it's the right decision, and the only reason why I stand by that is because, no offense to anyone who is from Zimbabwe watching this, right? But it's a good place to try out new players. It's better to try out new players against comparatively weaker teams than taking them straight to New Zealand. I think in December, Pakistan is going to New Zealand. Instead of doing that, it's better to try them out. If they perform well in Pakistan against a lower ranked side than Pakistan, then let's see how they do with a better side abroad. So in terms of exclusion, I think Mohammad Amir being dropped makes complete sense. I would have actually gone quite aggressive in the sense that I would have dropped quite a few people, but we'll touch on that later on anyway. But I agree with Mohammad Amir's exclusion. I actually agree with Shoaib Malik's exclusion as well. Okay. Because he did his business. He did everything brilliantly when we moved to Rawalpindi in the National T20 Cup. But he is aging quite heavily, not in a bad way, but in the sense that he's almost 40 or he's around 40 years old. So he needs to rest. He needs to get some sort of rest. The only reason I think they've included Hafiz into the squad is because they were picking one. And Hafiz played less games in the National T20 Cup than Shoaib Malik in general. So they probably thought, okay, he can get a layoff, he can go rest, he can go live with his family for a little while because he lives in UAE, not in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So probably go have some have some time with family. And Mohammad Hafiz, he doesn't need to play every game against Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
All he would need to do is genuinely just stay with the team, give his input, and plus in internationals, Hafiz's record, it's so much better than Malik in the past 18 to 24 months. So yeah, that's my reasoning on that. And Sarfaraz, I want to hear what you think about the Sarfaraz exclusion first, and then I'll chime in.
So I think first of all, then I'll touch upon what you said. So the Muhammad Amr thing, it's interesting to know whether they've dropped him because of form or whether, as you said, maybe because it's Zimbabwe, they want to try out new players. I'm hoping it's the latter because I think he is going to be important in the T20 World Cups coming up, especially we've got back-to-back World Cups. And I think if he can just make sure that he rediscovers that form that obviously has been missing for a little bit of time now, I mean, he's so integral for the Champions Trophy. And I think after that, he went off the ball a little bit, and then again, he was good in the World Cup, and then again. So obviously, I think he's a big match player, big tournament player, and I think he will be important. Shoaib Malik, I agree with you. I think we obviously were singing his praises about the final in the T20 National Cup, I mean, fastest 50 ever for him in T20s, and clearly he has got a lot to offer still. However, I think he is not as important a player as Hafiz is for Pakistan at the moment, as you've rightly said in terms of figures. I mean, Hafiz at the moment is up there, despite his age. I think because he's performing so well, it's tough to say, you know what, we'll drop you because he's just performing that well. And sometimes that just happens. And I don't think that the same rings true for Shoaib Malik. But for Hafiz, I hope that they don't use him in every single match. I think it's good to have him in there to tick him over so that he doesn't lose that form, because I think it's important that he keeps that form for us. But it's good. I hope they do try out new players as well. And in terms of Sarfaraz, it's a difficult one because for quite a bit of time, he was so integral to Pakistan in terms of us, especially when we weren't allowed to play in Pakistan as well. In terms of rejuvenating the team and kind of building a team morale, and he performed and led very well from the front. I just think now, unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but he's definitely lacking form. I don't know whether it's a lack of confidence or it's just this is just the way he is now as a player. But I think it's all well and good leading and being a decent wicketkeeper, but he doesn't really offer too much with the bat nowadays, and I think he needs to improve on that to be included. And I'm happy for us to go with Mohammad Rizwan and actually try and see whether he can fit in there, because he's quite a busy player as well and slightly younger as well.
No, definitely. I think one thing about Sarfaraz Ahmed I want to add is I'm happy with the exclusion. The only issue I have is if he's going to be left out, if he's left out again, I don't see him coming back into the team, because this is something similar to, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but it was for England, I think when Grant Jones, I can't remember, a while ago, he was the wicketkeeper. When he was dropped, after he was dropped, they brought in Chris Reed, and then he couldn't get a chance to come back into the team.
Gareth Jones,
Yeah. And that's the type of thing I'm seeing. And I know Sarfaraz was captain, Jones wasn't, but in the vein of his ability, he's not performing brilliantly with the bat. I think he averaged about 21 or something like that in the National T20 Cup. He captained the side, which is fine. He kept okay. He didn't keep the best, but he kept wickets well. I would say he's not at the best point of his career. I know Ramiz Raja or Wahid Khan, some Pakistani journalist did mention the fact that, he should retire now. And I thought to myself, he's 32, 33? I don't think he needs to retire. If he can get back into form, then he'll come back into the side. But I think choosing someone like, and I might be going a bit ahead of myself, but choosing someone like Rohil Nazir or Zishan Ashraf from the tournament or someone like that would have been a good shot. I think Rohil Nazir has been picked in the squad. And it's good to see him if he gets a game, which will be great, because he was with the squad in England, but didn't play a game whatsoever. It kind of annoyed me a bit. So I think Sarfaraz Ahmed being dropped, makes complete sense, at least in the current climate.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with your comments about it's being a bit ridiculous that they're telling him to retire, because 32, especially for a wicketkeeper batsman, is not very old, as we've seen.
Yeah.
You know, Sangakkara, even though Sangakkara probably could have gone for a couple more years, but he retired quite late. Obviously, Dhoni recently as well. So, you know, especially if we're going to have, I mean, he can potentially, I don't know whether it's possible, reinvent himself as just a specialist batsman if we're going to end up going with someone as a wicketkeeper. I don't know if that's something that he's open to doing, but maybe that's something, that's a way for him to get back in, just to concentrate on that, because obviously that's a part of his game that is really lacking a little bit at the moment. Okay, so then actually sorry, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just one thing. So when he did first join the Pakistan team in 2015, he came in as an opener.
Yeah.
And he came in as a specialist batsman who could wicket keep, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe, as you said, he needs to reinvent himself if he doesn't want to fit into the team now, because Mohammad Rizwan's keeping skills are probably the best in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I'll have to say.
Agreed.
He's probably the best fielder. You remember that catch, right?
Yeah. He's just most athletic, obviously, in the outfield. Yeah.
Most athletic. Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, definitely. If he needs to get into the side, I don't think he's coming in as a wicketkeeper batsman.
Yeah.
But, go on.
No, agreed. And actually, I think it's good you made that point about Rahul Nazir and Nazir basically not getting a game, and that's what I wanted to touch upon, because I think obviously there was a big squad for the games against England, and as you rightly pointed out, a lot of people didn't get a game. Now, from memory, I'm pretty sure Krishal Shah did not get a game.
Yeah.
Rahul Nazir was another one. I think Musa Khan, he didn't get one as well.
I don't think he got a game this time.
No,
and neither did Hasnan. I don't think Hasnan got
neither did Hasnain or Osman Qadir, Qadir even. Osman Qadir didn't get a game either. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that, look, if they're going to pick these players, that you've got to try them out. We obviously know what the likes of, you know, we kind of know how Haris Sahil is going to play, how Wahab Riaz is going to play, team. These players, we know what they're like. So I think it's time, especially now that we're playing in Zimbabwe. And as you said, no offense to Zimbabwe, but this is a good chance. This is a good series. We've got 3 ODIs, 3 2020s. This is a good chance to see what these young Pakistanis, or even just newer to the international game Pakistanis are all about, and see, okay, can they help us, one, in the future of, you know, looking towards the 2 T20 World Cups that are coming up, and secondly, just in white ball cricket as a whole, in terms of our ODI setup as well. And actually then that leads me quite nicely on to who you would have included instead of. So I personally, I'll start. I would have liked to have seen, and this might be because it's fresh in my memory, but I would have liked to have seen Hussain Talat in the squad. But I mean, that's who I would have picked him instead of. Is difficult. I feel like we've got a lot of bowlers in this squad, and I probably would have put him in instead of a bowler. But
do you know what? What's Hussain Talat? So when he played for Pakistan before, but in T20s, he didn't do a bad job. I'm just checking now. His average was 28. His strike rate was 120. Okay, strike rate's a bit lower than required, I guess, for the position that he plays in. But in this tournament, he's shown that he can play at 200 strike rate when he needs to. He can get an innings of 50 in consecutive games if he needed to. I wouldn't argue with Hussain Talat. A couple of things that just pop out to me, apart from Mohammad Hafiz, everyone else, I'm surprised they picked Wahab Riaz. I'm surprised they picked Iftikhar Ahmed. I'm surprised they picked Usman Qadir. I know that why they picked Usman Qadir, and it's nothing against him or Babar Azam, but they're best friends, right? They've been best friends since like 10 years or something like that. He's going to be in the side of Babar Azam as the captain, okay? At least in the squad. I don't mean
Iftikhar Ahmed has not done much, to be honest with you.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know why.
Wasn't Iftikhar Ahmed the guy who he's supposed to be an off spinner, but he bowled medium pace in one of the matches?
Yeah.
And he bowled someone else who's random.
And he got smashed. He got absolutely hammered. I think these, who's it? Iftikhar Ahmed, Usman Qadir, even Wahab Riaz, I would not have included.
He's really old, Iftikhar Ahmed, isn't he, as well?
I think he's
He
30.
looks old. He's
Early
30s,
30s
yeah.
officially. Right, so like Asif Ali, I'm never on side to put Asif Ali in the side, because every time he plays for Pakistan, I think he's had one good innings out of however many he's played for Pakistan. So I would have put Santalat instead of Asif Ali. I would have put maybe
Asif Ali's not in here though. They've got Abid Ali.
Oh, that's Abid Ali. Sorry.
Yeah.
Need new glasses. Right. In that case, I would bring in Santalat instead of Iftikhar Ahmed.
Yeah, agreed.
I would have brought in Zahid Mahmood instead of Usman Qadir. Just try him out. Just try him out, because he was bowling really well. His variations, he's got everything in the book. In his tricks, bag of tricks. But one thing I think that Zahid Mahmood had that Usman Qadir doesn't. Usman Qadir is a simple bowler, for lack of a better term. He's bowling
one-dimensional.
One-dimensional. Thank you. Yeah. He's very one-dimensional. Surprising, depending based on who his dad was. But Zahid Mahmood, being very, very unconventional and also bowling all his variations in the right places, and I think that's why he got wickets. That's why he went at less than 8 and over for most of the season. And I think that's someone I would have added in. I would have added in. I keep forgetting his name. Not Rohil Nazir. There was this player that I wanted to really talk about, but I completely lost in my mind. Never mind. Keep going. Sorry. I'll come back to it.
I think something that, so when we're talking, what I'm really gauging from this, and that actually for me is really important, is obviously Pakistan just have this tournament, and I think it's really important that the players that perform well, especially the ones that are younger, I think this is such a good opportunity to give them a go. And I know, of course, people say, look, you can't just hand out international caps, for the sake of it. But I don't think it is for the sake of it, especially if they're younger. I think you want to build on the confidence that they've gained from this tournament and the experience, and say, okay, look, we actually do rate you. We can see something in you. Here's some games. And I think it does depend on the player, because some players are not ready for that to play internationally. But I think because it's against Zimbabwe, they are a decent enough side, I think. But they're not obviously one of the top sides.
Yeah.
But you can try out players, and I'm just hoping that the players that are being picked, especially someone like Abdullah Shafiq, he's obviously batted very well. I hope they give him a go, and even Rahel Nazir as well, because we've seen a bit of Mohammad Rizwan already. So it would be nice to see Rahel Nazir keep and see how he is. And also, even someone like Abid Ali, who obviously has been in the side. He's not young, but he's been in the side in terms of batting in the test matches. I know he's played a couple of ODIs, but it would be nice to see how he is in the white ball format, maybe see what he's like. And I agree with you when we've discussed this before about having Bob Razan potentially at 3, just to see, okay, how did the openers do? Like, it would be nice to see Imam al-Haq opening for Pakistan and see, okay, he's batted well in this tournament. Let's try and build on that and see whether he's someone who can then open for us internationally as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be good. Yeah, I agree with that. And then actually, is there anything else you want to point out about the squad?
Yeah, so let's think of it this way. So there's so many players I can think of. I've got the squad open in front of me that I wouldn't put in the side. As I mentioned, a couple. Zafar Gohar I wouldn't put in this team because he's not done anything in this tournament. If the entire reasoning for putting players through this tournament and then saying, oh, we'll select the T20 squad after this, a lot of people were riding on, oh, I'll perform well so I can play for Pakistan. Right? There's a few players, Usman Qadir, Zafar Gohar being 2 obvious ones, Iftikhar Ahmed being another one. These players who, out of how many matches is it? 11 matches or something, performed once or twice maximum.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just a shock. I was listening to Misbah al-Haq this morning, and he was in a conversation with Wahid Khan, who's a big journalist in Pakistan. And he said a lot of players have been selected based on their fitness level. Hussain Talat, he looks fit, as like very fit, right? He's like, oh, the reason why we didn't take people like Azam Khan or Khurram Manzoor, because they're not fit enough. Khurram Manzoor is fairly older, but he's what, the second highest scorer in the tournament. Azam Khan batted very well, and he's I don't know if you showed it to me or someone else did.
Yeah.
Basically, he lost a lot of weight.
He has, yeah.
Yeah. So he looks in decent shape. I don't know why they wouldn't pick him based on that.
I think that they have a basic. From my knowledge, I know when Mickey Arthur was coach. I don't know whether they still implement this, but they have to pass a number of fitness tests, and one of them is a bleep test, which you'll know from school.
Fair enough.
And I've forgotten what level it was, but and also, for example, someone like Umar Akmal, he kept on failing it. So I think there was a point a couple of years back where he was performing very well in the PSL, for example, and franchise cricket, and we wanted to pick him, but he kept on failing those tests. I don't know. Again, I don't know whether they still do that, but I agree that someone like Azam Khan, he's clearly trying to get to a level of fitness. And look, if he's batting well and he's relatively young, then get him in there and just see what he can do. And also, if he's going to be with the international players, that's a good example to see, okay, look, if you want to be playing with these players regularly, this is the level you need to be at. And then hopefully he will raise his game to that level, and also see as well how he can improve himself fitness-wise to that degree. A good example actually is Dom Sibley. So I discussed with Venu. So obviously I don't think he was. I don't think you can say he was particularly overweight, but he was a kind of bigger frame. And when he said that before COVID hit, actually, when he was fielding with the side, he would see people like Root and Stokes, and he would see, look, I'm always kind of at the bottom of the pile in terms of fitness-wise and fielding.
Yeah.
And he felt that actually I want to be up there with those guys. So he trimmed down a little bit, and I think he's a lot better now in the field. And they said that he feels a lot more flexible for himself. So I think, look, that can have a positive effect on you. Of course, if you are kind of coming into the side and you feel like, and they can see that you're not doing anything about it, then you get dropped, like Umar did. But I think it can work in favour of that. So I think they've got to be careful about not alienating people too much because of that.
Yeah. No, I get that completely. One player that I was talking about that I forgot, Danish Aziz. He has done a fantastic job in terms of finishing games this season.
Yeah, he has.
That innings, was it for, because he played for Sindh, didn't he, I think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sindh, nothing.
Yeah, it was 72 or 48. That was one innings. Whenever he came in, he'd have that spark about him about being a finisher. So for someone batting at number 6 for Pakistan, that's what you need. You need someone like, and I'm going to use really old examples now, but Abdur Razak or Shahid Afridi, or someone who can come in and actually hit, who can bat. Not like Wahab Riaz, who can play 2 amazing innings out of 40. You need someone who can do 4 or 5 innings in 10. So half the time he can actually come in and finish the game off for Pakistan. So that's the player I think I was thinking of when I was talking about Iftikhar Ahmed and like Usman Qadir and stuff. So
okay,
definitely get him in the side.
No, that makes sense. So thank you very much, Ashtad, for being on again from Cricket4Us 2.0, as I've said before. So guys, please check it out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching this video, and of course, please make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share the vids. And if you're new, I hope you enjoyed this video as well. And of course, please make sure you subscribe.
I want to thank you, Fazan. You do a brilliant job. I love your discussions, especially on English cricket, the English summer, everything that you've done so far. Even your boxing stuff is really, really interesting for a guy who doesn't watch boxing. So brilliant. Thank you for having me on. And yeah, greatly appreciate it.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah, have a great day, Ashad, and also for you guys at home as well, and stay safe. Thank you.